Are you a web developer and a Bollywood fan? Then you should definitely give this project a try. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Richa Sharandhar, currently a first year computer science undergraduate. Basically, you have to guess the name of the movie and you have the famous dialogue of the movie as your hint. Now, the rules are the first rule you have total 8 wrong chances to guess the movie. So, like, if you choose the letter N and the letter N is not present in the movie name, so your one chance is reduced. With each wrong guess, a letter from the word Bollywood is reduced, so you can have a check of how many chances are left with you. After all the 8 wrong chances are done, the game ends and you also lose a point there. If you move on to the next movie without completing the first movie, you still lose 1 point. And if you get the movie right, then you have +1. Also, the vowels present in the movie name are underlined by the red dashes, so you can guess accordingly where the vowel is. So let's begin making the project. But before we go into it, if you are not a Bollywood fan but a Hollywood or any other movie fan, you can use the same project. You only need to change the list of movies and change the word Bollywood to whatever specific name you want. Alright, so let's go into the video. So the first thing that we need for the project is a list of movies along with their famous dialogues. I searched for APIs that could provide me with the same, but I couldn't find any. So I asked ChatGPT to make me a list of movies along with their famous dialogues, where I created an array named as constant Bollywood names, where each movie along with its famous dialogue is stored in the form of object, and there are such 50 objects in one array. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to brief you all about the HTML and the CSS part, and then we'll quickly move on to the functionality as that is more important, and you all can manage with the CSS and HTML, and if you cannot, you can at any time contact me through my Instagram handle and down in the video. So moving on to the HTML, I have used the boilerplate code first, and I have connected the fonts.googleapis.com so that I can use all these various fonts to make my project look a bit better. Then I've connected my CSS file, and then for now I have commented out the model code. I will explain it when we move on to the model part. And then I've connected my movie list JS file, which contains the list of movies as I have shown before. And after that, I have connected the JS file. Please note that if the file is present above the main file, then it is accessible to the main file. If I write this file above the movie list file, then the main JavaScript file, which has our functionality, won't be able to access this file. Alright, then moving on, now looking at the structure, I have created an outer div called container, which is basically this box that contains all these elements. I have then created a division called Bollywood, which has the points paragraph and the Bollywood header. I have also given them classes. You all can give them classes as per your convenience. I have created another division called movie name, under which I have created a list, an unordered list called movie list. We will add list items further. You will get to know more about it in the functionality part. But if you're practicing right now, you can just create a simple list element called letter and give underscore so that you can keep a check of it. You can see here now that I've added, and if I start the game, then you can have the proper dashes. So while practicing, you can follow this and create the structure first. All right, then I've created the hint division where the hint will be displayed. That is this part, this mere paas maa hai wala part is the hint paragraph. And then I have the keyboard. Again, while practicing, use the button, let's say letters here for now, and create all the buttons out here, format them, and then move to the functionality part. First create the structure and then move to the functionality part. Alright, then I've again created this last part which basically has the options and handling of the game, which is the start game, next, and end game. You can add the colors and hover effects as per your convenience. Moving on to CSS, I have given the background color, that is this, to the body, displayed it in flex so that this container is centered. I have given the container the grid format so that all of these elements are arranged properly. I've created the Bollywood, given its color. Font family, you can again access it from the Google Fonts site according to your convenience. Then I have created the movie list, that is basically the dashes, and I've also given that a flex wrap, because if I don't give them for movie names like Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, the dashes will exceed the container, which will create problems. Then for letters, this is basically when I am clicking on the letter, that is basically this. Oh, it's not in the movie. Oh, okay, yeah, this. So this letter that is coming should be capitalized. Therefore, we are using the text transform capitalize. And even these letters that are present here are capitalized. Then we move on to hint part. Again, the font family, color, display flex is all according to your convenience, but make it so that it is structured well and it is not hampering if the hint size, that is the dialog size, exceeds the container size. That should not happen. That's why over here I've used display flex, and I tried many dialogues. It is not actually exceeding it. Okay, but you should again cross check. And with keyboard, again use the flex wrap property, or else it will again exceed the container. I've given the properties to the backgrounds, background color of the button. Then for the start game, end game, next I have created the buttons, given them font color, and have also added properties after you hover. Then for model, again I'll explain it when we move on to it. This is also a part of the model part. Alright, so let's move on to the functionality. Alright, so I've created a new JS file and I've attached it to the HTML. So I will code the functionality with you all. So the first thing that we need to create is the keyboard. So let's access the keyboard division. Division with the class name. I'll take it from the HTML file and paste it. Okay, so next we know is that we need to create all the buttons from A to Z. So we are going to use a for loop with I starting from 65 and ending at is equal to 90 or less than, sorry, I plus plus, and create a for loop. Now why I'm taking the value of I 65 and 90, because the Unicode value of capital A is 65 and capital Z is 90. If you want to use the small case letters, then you should check the Unicode values and fill it accordingly. Next, we need to create buttons with when each loop is iterating. The button is equals to document dot create element with the class name, let's say button. Alright, now we need to fill the Unicode value into the button text. Like if the loop is iterating for the first time, then the value 65 should be printed as the content of the button as A. So for that we'll use the function that is string dot sorry dot from character code I. Now what this function does, y'all can do check it on Google. I feel you should read through it once. What it does is it converts the Unicode value into the characters. So when the loop is iterating for the first time, that is when the value of I is equals to 65, this function will convert the Unicode value, that is 65, into the character which is A, which will be stored into the inner HTML of the button. Alright, now when the button is being created, we need to also append it to the keyboard. So we'll use keyboard dot append child, and we'll say button. Okay, this is for now. Let's save, and a small mistake here, there shouldn't be any dot here. So here we have our keyboard ready. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is create a function that generates movie. Create a function that generates movie when called. So the first thing that we need to do is access the elements, that is the objects, which are arrow elements from these array. How we can do is we can create a math.floor function and generate any random number and store it in a variable, let's say index. Let's first do that first. Let index is equals to math.floor math.random into Bollywood movies dot length. The maximum limit of the number being generated is the length of the Bollywood movies. It cannot exceed the number 50. It cannot generate 51 or 62 or anything above 50. Therefore, the limit is the length of the movie array. Alright. So the next thing is we call the object which is present on that index of that array. So if let's say number 0 is generated, so this movie object will be accessed. If number 1 is generated, then this movie object is accessed. In that way, we will access the randomly generated movie object. Alright, so let's save it in movie object is equals to, let's access it. You will access the array in the same way you access any other array. So let's say I'm doing console.log index and the movie object. Alright, so let's give it a check. So we haven't called. Okay, so now the object which is at the 17th index of the array is accessed with the movie name Gully Boy and hint as Apna Time Aayega. So the next thing that we need to do is access this hint and the movie and store it in a variable. So what we'll do is create another variable, let's say current movie name and movie object dot movie and current hint, let's say, and store it in movie object. Sorry, my bad, I said it in a wrong way. The current movie name variable will store the movie name which is accessed from the object, and the current hint will store the hint which is accessed from the movie object. You can again print and check this. Let's do it. Console.log current movie name and current hint. Okay, so here you can see it is being printed in the form of an object, and over here it's being printed normally, where Kabir Singh is the name of the movie and this is the famous dialogue that will be displayed in the hint section. So with that, you all understand that the next thing that we need to do is store the hint in this hint division, so that every time a new movie is generated, the famous dialogue is displayed in the hint section. So for that, we have already accessed the hint object, and we will, sorry, hint division, and then what we'll do is, let's say hint dot inner html is equals to the current hint. So the value which is present in the current hint will become the text content or the inner HTML of the hint division. So if I'm regenerating, you can see that the famous dialogues are being generated. As the movie changes, the famous dialogues are being generated. Alright, so with that done, the last part while generating the movie for now is to create dashes with the same number of dashes as many letters are present, excluding the spaces. While creating the function, there are high chances that we include the space, creating that many number of list elements, creating more dashes. That's why we need to exclude the spaces. Now for that, I'm going to make use of three functions: split, map and join. Pause the video here, open the documentation, read what each function does, and then come back so you will understand it in a better way. Alright, so I hope you all have paused, read the document, and then come here. So what we're going to do is, we are going to add another list with class name movie list. Let's access it first. Let's say let movie display is equals to document dot query selector. Uh, uh, these issues now. Let's say it's pasted here. So now what we are going to do is, the dashes will be, each dash will be a list element. Therefore, if you remember over here also in the movie list part, I've kept it display flex. So the dashes that will be created will be in the form of list elements. Now they will be stored in the unordered list. So the first thing that we need to do is, let's first take the current movie name. So how we are going to use the split? Oh wow, it's being displayed here. Oh yeah, I've just wrote the current movie name, so it's being displayed here. So let's say we are taking PK. So the first thing that we need to do is, we need to split the movie name into its letters. For that, we use the split function. For that, we use the split function. Now to iterate over each letter present in the word, we use the map function. Now we need to make sure that the spaces are not being converted into list elements. We need only that many number of dashes जितने letters present है. हम लोग को spaces के dashes नहीं चाहिए. So we need to make sure that only in place of letters the dashes are being created. For that, what we are going to do is, what we are going to do is, if character is equal to space, then replace it with non-breaking space. And if it is not, then create a list, then create a list element, let's say with class as letter, and then close it. Next, we need to join it using join function. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, so should work. Yeah, so now we can see the dashes are coming. Let's first see if what the movie name is. We'll take a small name. let's say Padmavat, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Many dashes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dashes are present. Alright, so we over here have created that many number of dashes as many letters are present, and we have also placed the hint in the hint division according to the movie that is being generated. So the next step that we do is we have to change the underlines, that is the underscores of those places wherever the vowel is present. So for that, the simple logic that we're going to use is that we'll have to again split the movie name into letters and iterate over it and compare if any of the letters present has any of the vowels, that is A, E, I, O, U present in it. For that, we'll have to create an array which has the vowels present in it, and we'll have to store this movie name which is split into letters in another array and compare those two arrays. And if the vowel is present there, the underscore color changes to red. Alright, so for that, first thing we need to do is create a vowel function, any name that you want again. Now we have to ensure that we have to change the color of only that movie that is being generated in the gen movie function. So what we are going to do is we are going to call the vowel function and pass the current movie name into it, because anyways whenever the movie is being generated we need to change the color of the dashes. Therefore I'm calling it inside the generate movie function itself. Alright, over here let's give it a name, movie name. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is create an array that contains all the vowels. Okay, I'm storing it in capitals only. Okay, once the array is created, we need to create another variable which is storing all the letters of the movie name in the form of an array. For that again I'm going to use the split function. Single quotes splits it directly into letters and double quotes splits it into words. Therefore we use the map function to iterate over every bit of it. Alright, now since we know that the split function returns it in the form of an array, to filter out the spaces over here, instead of using the map function, I am going to use the filter function. I'll again suggest pause the video here, read through the documentation, filter, read through the documentation, read how function works, and then come over here again. I'm obviously going to explain how it works to you all, but still understanding it will be better if you all have gone through it once before. Alright, so let's say same variable char I'm using here. If char is, if char is not equal to space, then true. So how the filter function works is, let's say I'm using, the movie name is actually Chak De India, but let's just take two words, Chak and De. Okay, so over here there is a space. Now, so what the filter function does is, it only keeps those characters in the array who return true for the condition we have added in the filter function. So let's say it's iterating and it reaches over here. Now it will check, is the character equal to space or not equal to space. Over here it is equal to space. Therefore what it will return is false. Now when it moves to D, it will check, is D equal to space? No. Then according to condition, the D is not equal to space, it is true. So it will keep D in the array and remove the space from the array. So this is how the filter function works. Alright. So again I'll say pause here, try to run the loop or whatever logic that you all can get in your mind. If you all are not able to do it, you can at any time resume the video and again watch it. Okay, so over here what we are going to do is access all the list elements that we have created, that have been created, the number of list elements according to the movie name. Select all. Okay, whose class we have given as letter. Alright, now why I have done is, now you will say we can just create the parameter in the loop itself and then we can use it. The issue that will occur is the border change won't be seen on the screen. Why? Because you're making the changes to the character present in the array and not the actual DOM element. You need to make changes in the actual DOM element which is present at that particular index. Therefore, we have accessed all the letter elements. Okay, we'll use a for loop. We'll use a for loop. We'll use a for loop where we'll use letter and in, let's say I, where letter is the current letter, the current character in the split movie. Let's say take the example of Queen and the loop is currently on E. So its letter will be E and its index will be 0, 1, 2. Its index will be 2. That is what letter and I stand for in the split movie. It refers to the split movie array. Alright, so what we need to do is we need to check if vowels array, the array which contains all the vowels, includes any of the letter which particularly refers to the particular letter right now. If it's E, it will compare if E is present, E compared to uppercase Y, because I have stored A, E, I, O, U in the presence in the capitalized, because everywhere we are using the same thing. Alright. So, okay, let me remove this. Yeah, now you all can see. Everywhere we are using capital A, capital A, capital A. This reason will be easy to tally when I'm clicking on the buttons and tallying, which we'll move on to later. That's why I'm using two uppercase functions. So it will check if the present letter E, capital E is present, or not. It will check if it is present or not. Now the logic behind it is the number of list elements generated will be equal to the number of characters present in the array, because we are ignoring the spaces, and second, the order is same. If I'm using Queen again, so the first list element will contain Q, the second will contain U, the third will contain E, and so on. Although we are replacing it with a underscore over here, but the letter which is technically present in place of that underscore will be same as that of the split movie name, because we are again using the split function to split it into letters, right? Therefore we use this. All right, okay, I've done. Okay, so we'll access the style of that particular DOM element at that particular index and change its border bottom to 3 pixels solid red. If for some reason you have still doubts in these filters, splitting and these loops, you can at any time contact me on my Instagram handle or comment in the video. Alright. because this is my first video, so I might not be that great at explaining, and I am trying to improve with every video that will be coming up. So please feel free to contact me at any time. I'll try my best to help you understand that. Alright, so this is being done. Okay, change this. Let's console.log and check the letter which is okay. So the error that it is throwing is cannot access vowel before initialization. So we'll just call this function after the oh, after the vowel part. Okay. Right, so once the vowel generation function is done, the next thing that we have to make sure, next thing that we have to do is that if I'm clicking on the letter B, we have to ensure that all the B's that are present in this movies should be placed here. So let's move on to that function. First thing that we need to make sure is that जो बटन क्लिक हो रहा है वो कौन सा क्लिक हो रहा है उसका इनर HTML दैट इज उसका टेक्स्ट कंटेंट हमें पता चलना चाहिए, इसलिए we'll add an event listener to button, the button that is being clicked, right? And then let's first console.log check if the same button that we're clicking is being seen or no. Let's say I'm clicking on A. Right, I've clicked on A. Inspect. Okay, A is visible, so the event listener is working properly. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure that every time we click the button, we have to check if the button that we have clicked, the same letter is present in the movie name or not. So for that, we will create a tally function with the name tally. You can give any name to it, right? And we'll call it in the event listener function. Alright, so over here what we are doing exactly is, first we need to send the button dot text content value so that the letter that we are clicking is being compared with the movie name letters, and if it is present it will be replaced. So over here let's just take it as button text. Alright, so now again we will have to use the same function as the vowel function. We will split the movie name and access all the letter elements and use the same for loop with certain changes. Alright, so let's copy paste over here. Now the letter and the I again refer to the same value as they were in the previous function. The only change will be in the if loop. If button dot text, again the uppercase value, over here we have to take any precautions that are possible, is equal to the letter uppercase value, then what I need you to do is replace the letter element with the text content which is equal to button text. That is if I am clicking on A, if I'm clicking on A, let's say if I'm clicking on A, it will send A in the tally function, will call the tally function. Then it will run the split movie for loop, then it will run this for loop, check if this condition suffices, that if the button text to uppercase, which is the capital A, is present in the movie name or not. That is what it will do. And if it is present, it will replace with button text. right? Now if I'm clicking on B, movie name is, oh yeah, we'll also have to pass in the movie name out here. That also again the current movie name. Current movie name. I probably feel it's because it is not present in the movie. So I'll just add an else loop that if it's not present, console.log wrong s. Alright. Let's click on A. Movie name is not defined. Okay, you are okay. My bad. Movie name. So Nandhadhan is present, so you all can see it's visible out here. Okay, let's make another guess. Wrong guess. Alright, else. Okay. Let's refresh. Now, what we need to add the condition is that if we are guessing the wrong letter, then we need to make sure that one letter from the word Bollywood is being removed basically. So for that, we'll create if let's create a flag that states that if it's correct is false for now. So if it is true, then this condition will take place. That is correct will become true. Right. So if is correct still remains false. Is correct still remains false. If is correct still remains false, we'll call a function. Let's say the function that is handle the wrong guess. Handling the wrong guess. Okay. Let's create the let's create the let handle the wrong guess. So the logic out here is we again have to split the Bollywood into its letters, because in one wrong guess I need only first letter or one letter at a time to be removed from the word Bollywood. So again we'll store it in the variable. Let's say title split is equals to first we'll have to access it. We'll first have to access it, that is B1. I've stored the title in B1. So let's access it first. Let Bollywood is equals to document dot B1. Right, now that we have accessed it, we'll straight move to title split, where Bollywood dot split is saved in the array function. Alright, so now the logic is we have total 8 guesses. So unless and until the number of guesses remains below 8, we can keep reducing the letters in the word Bollywood. But the moment the moment the wrong chances exceed 8, the game ends. So first let's create a variable that is storing the number of wrong guesses. For now it is in 0. So let's run the if loop. If wrong is less than 8, what I want to do is I'll use the title split dot shift function. What it does is it will shift the title split. So what the shift function does is it removes the first element and shifts the array. So this is what the shift function is doing, and then we need to join it as well. Title split Bollywood dot Bollywood dot text content is equals to title split dot join some space. Alright, we'll join it. Now let's console.log bollywood.text content. Alright, let's first read the else. So if it exceeds the wrong it, let's print console.log game over, and the next thing that we need to do is call the generate movie function, because the moment game ends we need a new movie function to be generated. Alright, so let's see what the movie is. It's Tamasha. So let's click on B. Okay, we have an error. 33, 31. Oh yeah. So what we need to add over here is, with every wrong guess we need to increment the value of wrong. Also, we need to set this is correct flag as false out here, because if the first guess is, let's say, right, the is correct for flag will be changed to true. If it makes the wrong guess, this will be called, and we need to again set the is correct flag to false over here. Alright, another thing that I noticed right now is this should be text content and not just Bollywood. Alright, because Bollywood is the name of the class name of the paragraph. So to access the content present in that paragraph, I need to use this text content. Alright, see if it's working or not properly. Something that's not present is B. So when I'm clicking B, which is not present in this movie, one letter from the word Bollywood is being removed. In the same way, I'm clicking as many as I can possibly, and it is being reduced. Okay. Okay, one limit that we need to add over here again, which I was supposed to do after this, but since while giving the example the problem has occurred, I'll show it to you all once again. I'll show it to you all right now itself. So what is happening is, even when I'm clicking B, which I have clicked once and my wrong guess has been deducted, even when I click it again, another guess has been deducted, which is wrong. So for that we need to disable the button that is being clicked. So for that, with this tally function, we also need to pass the button that is being clicked, and what we'll do is we'll disable the button. Button.disable is equals to true, and whenever the new movie is being generated, we'll again change it to false. Alright, so okay, we'll now change it again to false. Over here I will need to pass the button. Need to pass the button function. Since it is defined inside this function itself, we will have to access it in another. Like, let's say document dot query selector dot keyboard button for each of the button, for each button is equals to, now button dot disable is equals to false. Alright, and we again need to change the opacity to 1. Should be style dot opacity to 1. Okay. We need to access all the elements out here. Yeah, my bad. So what we did is we are accessing all the button elements, and for the button which is being clicked, we are changing, which was clicked, we are changing its disabled to false again. So now when I'm clicking on B again, and when I'm trying to click on B again, it is not being clicked. Alright. So till now what we were doing were to generate a new movie, we were continuously refreshing the page. But now that we have these options and we also have some certain conditions to generate the new movie, we'll do that now. So the first condition, we'll move on to the buttons later, but the first condition that we need to do is once all the movie guesses have been done, the next movie should be generated. Now for that, how we will need to check if all the guesses have been done or not is we'll have to create an empty array. Let's say correct guesses. Let's create an empty array correct guesses. Now each time the user makes a correct guess, we will push the letter into the correct guess array. So we'll push the letter into the correct guess array. So number of correct guesses the user makes will be equal to the number of dashes present in the movie name. Why? Because if he makes the wrong guess, the handle wrong guess function will be called. Therefore, the number of letters or the number of characters present in the correct guess array will be equal to the number of letters present in the movie name. So whenever the length of the correct guess array will be equal to the length of the split movie array, that is when the movie will be guessed correctly, because in a single wrong guess will call the handle wrong guess function, so it will not be pushed into the correct guess array. All right, in that case we'll call the generate movie function, and we'll also display, let's say, console.log correct. Okay, I guess this is Kabir Singh. Let's see if it's right or not. So the functionality till now seems to be working fine. The buttons are being disabled. So it quickly moved to the next array. What we'll do right now is we'll add another flag to check if the answer guessed, let's say answer correct, is for now false. Okay, and over here when the answer is correct, we'll set it to true. But when we are generating the movie again, we have to make sure that we are setting it to false again. Alright, so let's see if the flags have been generated. Oh, we have to set the is correct flag to false. Okay, now let's try. Let's make a wrong guess. It's being reduced properly. Because of one wrong guess, one letter is being removed, and when I'm making all the correct guesses, it's moving on to the next movie. Now when I'm moving on to the next movie, I need the Bollywood text content to be replaced with what its actual value was. So again, in the generate movie function, what we'll do is Bollywood.text content, set it to Bollywood again. Alright, now let's make a wrong guess. Okay, and now make all the right guesses. It moved on to the next movie with the Bollywood being replaced properly. Now the next point that we'll do is the functionality of the buttons. Let's access the buttons. Okay, let's access the buttons first. let the let start game is equals to document dot query selector. Okay, let's see what its class name is. Okay, we'll paste it here and save. In the same way, we'll access all the buttons. Let next is equals to document dot query selector. And game equals to document dot query selector and game. Oh, sorry. And game as it was. Okay, now we'll add the button listeners. Okay, moving to the end, we'll add the button listeners. Let's first add the basic events. Once I'm clicking, I want once I'm clicking, I want a new movie to be generated. Alright, once I'm clicking on the next button, I wanted the new movie to be generated. Yes, that's happening. Alright, so with that, the next functionality button has been done. Now let's look at the points first. First, let's set the points to 0. Let the points is equals to 0. Alright, now the rules, according to the rules that I have mentioned earlier, the points decrease if I'm clicking on the next button, without completing the movie, or if I'm completing all the 8 wrong guesses. So when I'm creating a generate movie function, I am decreasing the value of points out here. Alright, and if I am, oh wait, I'm decreasing the points here. Decreasing the points here, and if I'm making the correct guess, I'm increasing the points by 1. Alright. So the next rule that we know, that is that moving to next, if the movie is guessed correctly, then the points won't be deducted. But if you're moving to the next movie without guessing the previous movie, the point will be deducted. So for that, we'll have to add conditionality in the next, where if the answer is correct, then generate the movie and set the answer correct is equals to false. Okay, and else what we'll do is points minus minus and we'll generate them. Alright, we can also give a confirm that let's give a confirm alert. Okay, so if confirm not, the points will be deducted if you move to next. And if they confirm it with an yes, then we will decrease the points. So now let's move on to the start button. Okay, we have accessed it already. I forgot its name. It is start game. Okay, so start game dot add event listener, when I am clicking on it, all I wanted to do right now is generate a new movie. Okay, and for now, before I'm generating the model, for now let's give the end game an event listener, and when I am clicking on the end game, I want a reset function to be called. Sorry, I want a reset function to be called. I don't know why it's happening like that. I want a reset. Uh-oh. S-E-T. I want a reset function to be called. Now in the reset function, let's write it here. Now in the reset function, let reset is equal to, we will reset all the values that we have set by default. That is, points will be again set to 0. The wrongs will be, sorry, the wrong will be set to 0 again. Bollywood dot text content will be equal to Bollywood again, and before we generate the movie, we'll keep the movie.display.inner.html to be empty, same as with the hint.inner.html to be empty. Once the start button is clicked, it will generate the movies. Okay. Before we move on to the model part, there is this one CSS error that we are facing, is that we are able to see that there are two dashes that are coming out here. One is the font color, like the font, and other is the bottom that we are giving. So what we'll do is we'll come to our CSS, access a list element, and remove this border, and now it's working all fine. Okay, it is here. It's working fine. Let's look at the model right now. First, let me change its visibility to visible. Comment this out. Now you will see that the structure is not aligned properly. The reason is the usage of continue button is only present in certain models. I'll explain it to you all when I'm moving to the functionality. First, let's look at its HTML structure. Over here I've created a div called model. I've given it a heading game over. I have created a header for points. For now let's just write points is 5. And you will see it's being displayed out here. I have given it its CSS. Alright. Then I've created a division where there are options. The buttons like continue and end game are present in this division. Now let's look at its functionality. Now there are two conditions at which the model will pop up. First is when the user clicks on this end game and this model shows up, where there are two options, either to continue the game or to actually exit the game, and the points are displayed at the same time. Another time will be when the user loses all its 8 chances and the game ends. That's when another model will pop up and the points will be displayed, and only the end game button will be present there. Let's look at the functionality now. First, let's access the model. Okay. Let model query selector paste. Okay, now as I explained, we have two conditions. First is if the user chooses to end the game or the user loses the game. So we'll create a function. Let's give it a name. Let model display. Let model display is equals to a function where we'll take in the situation in which the model is popping out. Alright, first we'll set the model's visibility to visible, so that whenever this function is called, the model is visible to us. Because once the functionality is written, I'll change its visibility to hidden again. So whenever this function is called, the model should be visible to us. That's why I'm changing the visibility to hidden. Now, since the continue button is going to be present only for one model, which is the time when the user is choosing to end the game, at that time it is only visible. Therefore, I'm setting the, okay, first I'll have to access the button. So let's access it first. Let's give it a name is equals. So I've accessed the button. Now I'll set its visibility to hidden. Okay, whenever the function is called, initially its visibility is hidden, but once the situation parameter is given in, the presence of the continue button will be judged accordingly. Now we also have to look at the points that are coming in the model. That will again be judged by the time at which the model is called. So we'll again access the points which is present in the model. Okay. Let's say let's display model. Okay, and then we'll set the point text content to the points that are scored by the user. Alright, and we'll change this here. We'll remove this. Okay, and we change that here. What I've done is I've used the same logic as points which I have used here. The points that are scored by the user at the time it is calling the model will be displayed. Alright. Now let's give in the situations at which the model will be called. First situation is when the user is choosing to end the game, which is this end game button. At this point, this end game is actually the button which is calling the model and not resetting it. So over here we will call the model display function, and the condition here will be end. Condition or situation out here will be end, and the reset function which I had written here previously will come when I'm clicking on this end game button. Alright, so let's access that first and write it out first. I've given it the class as exit, so I'm going to write exit out here as well. So let exit is equals to document dot query selector exit. Alright, so whenever I'm clicking on exit dot add event exit dot add, when I click, function should be generated which will call the reset function. Now when the reset function is called, that is when I'm clicking on this button or this button, the model should disappear. I'm choosing to reset the game and start again, and if I'm choosing to continue, I don't want to exit the game. Therefore we will have to again change its visibility to hidden. So what I'm going to do is, whenever I'm calling the continue or the exit, whenever I'm clicking on the exit, or whenever I'm clicking on this endgame button or this continue button, I'm going to set the visibilities to hidden again. I'm going to set the visibilities to hidden again. So if I'm clicking on this endgame button, it is not visible anymore. Alright. Now we'll give the same functionality to the continue button as well immediately. Alright. At this time, I'm just going to set the model visibility and its own visibility to hidden. Okay, working fine. Oh, working fine. Alright, now we will give the logic out here. So there are two conditions as I mentioned. One, when the user is choosing to end the game, and second, when the user is losing the game. Now when the user is choosing to end the game, I'm calling the model display function out here. Now when to call the model display function when the loser is losing the game is when he loses all its 8 chances. That is when the new movie is being generated. At the same time, a model will be displayed. And we'll, let's say lost. Give the situation as lost. Now when we come back to the functionality, let's say if situation is equal to lost. Now when the loser is losing the game, there is no option for the loser to choose if he wants to continue or end the game. He has to end the game. The game will end automatically. Just to display the points, we'll create a model. And he will have to click on the end game button. So we'll have to remove this continue button. Alright. Now when I am losing, let's say I'm calling this model, I'm clicking some random buttons. Okay, so this is what is happening. The end game button is shifting towards the left. So I will have to change the styling of this model option division. So we'll access it first. Let's give it the same name. Alright, and change its styling. Where I'm setting the justify content to center. Right? The justify content to center. Now let's try again. Alright, now the structure you will see has been centered properly. The structure that you saw in the beginning was the rough structure, which will vary according to the condition at which the model is being called. Now the points are being displayed, the end game, just the end game button centered properly is being displayed out here. Now let's look at the second condition where the user is choosing to end the game. That is else if situation is equal to n. At that time, we want the display buttons to be displayed, and therefore I'll have to again add this continue button. So what I will do is I'll have added in the model option division, because now the continue button is not actually present there as I have removed it. Therefore, I'll add it, prepend it, because it is present before the end game button. Therefore, prepend it. When I'm prepending it, I will again have to change its visibility to visible this time. because this time I want the continue button to be an option for the user. So I'll again have to change the style of the option division as well to, let's say, space in between. Space between. Alright. So now when I'm choosing to end the game, this is how the model is looking out. The points are being displayed. The model option division has been structured properly with two options. One is end game and another is continue. If I'm clicking on the continue button, I'm staying on the same page. Now let's start the game and check again. Let's start the game. I'm choosing to end the game. The points are being displayed as 0 as I haven't started the game. I haven't made a single guessed a single movie, and I'm choosing to continue. I'm still on the same page. Now if I choose to end the game, the page will be refreshed. If I start another game, a new movie will be generated. Let's make wrong choices. The game is ended, the point is decreased by -1, and there is only a single button that is only giving me the option of ending the game. Alright, so now the game, the logic has been done. Now we need to again set the visibility to hidden at what it was. Alright, now if you observe, whenever I am ending a game and moving to the next start of game, these points are still being displayed, right? So to change that, I have already reset the points in the reset function, but we haven't displayed it in this text content. So what I'm going to do is I'll say points display dot text content. Let's first check if the points are being reset or not. All right, now let's do this again. Okay, now the points are being reset, but I don't even want the 0 out there. So I'll just make it an empty space. Alright. Now it's proper. The points are being reset, and also the section, the text, the area where the points will be displayed is empty. Another few changes that we need to make is that in the generate movie function, that is whenever we generate the new movie, we need to change the wrongs to 0 again, because in every chance, every new movie will have 8 chances. Therefore, with every movie that is being generated, the number of chances should also be regenerated. That is, they should also start from 0 again. Also, this empty array that we have created should again be set to empty whenever a new movie is generated. Uh-oh. Whenever a new movie is generated. So we'll do this here again. Alright, because with every new movie, the length of the string that is being compared will also change. Therefore, we'll again have to reset the array to empty, and the comparison should then begin accordingly. Also need to set the answer correct flag to false. False. Alright.
Alright everyone, that is it for today's tutorial. I hope you all loved the tutorial as much as I did sharing it with you all. If you really enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe button. It is the best way to support this growing channel. If you really like the project, please share it with as many friends as you can. I would love to see your version of this project, and if you create it, do tag my this Instagram handle. Also, if you have any queries related to this project, drop them in the comment section, or you can also DM me on my Instagram handle. That's it. Love you all.